Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace, mercy, blessings and guidance and forgiveness of one true God be upon each and every one of you, inshallah. So I'm going to recite some verses from the Holy Quran and then inshallah we will make the dua. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تكونوا كالذين آذوا موسى فبرأه الله مما قالوا وكان عند الله وجيها يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما إنا عرضنا الأمانة على السماوات والأرض والجبال فأبين أن يحملنها وأشفقن منها وحملها الإنسان إنه كان ظلوما جهولا ليعذب الله المنافقين والمنافقات والمشركين والمشركات ويتوب الله على المؤمنين والمؤمنات وكان الله غفورا رحيما صدق الله العظيم آمين الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين اللهم أنت السلام ومنك السلام تبارك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام اللهم أعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك اللهم إنا نسألك الجنة ونعوذ بك من النار اللهم إنا نسألك العفو والعافية في الدنيا والآخرة اللهم افتح علينا حكمتك وانشر علينا رحمتك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا Ya Rabbul Alameen, we praise you and we thank you for every blessing and for every guidance, Ya Allah. We ask you, Ya Rabbul Alameen, that Ya Allah bless this gathering, Ya Allah. Whatever we're going to discuss, Ya Rabbul Alameen, make it very beneficial and very productive and very useful for all of us, Ya Rabbul Samawati wal Ard. Ya Allah, unite all of us, Ya Allah. Unite our hearts, our minds. Unite the entire Muslim Ummah, Ya Rabbul Samawati wal Ard. Ya Allah, allow us to do those things which are benefiting one another, Ya Allah, which are benefiting the Muslim Ummah, Ya Rabbul Alameen, which are benefiting our community, our family, Ya Allah, and which will help us to be the right one in this dunya and as well as in the life of the hereafter, Ya Rabbul Alameen. Grant us the ikhlas, Ya Allah, grant us the sincerity, Ya Allah, in our a'mal, in our actions, Ya Allah. Let our days and nights, our sacrifices, our health and wealth, Ya Allah, and our family be for your sake and for your pleasure, Ya Rabbul Samawati wal Ard. Ya Allah, bless all of us, Ya Allah. Guard and guide all of us, Ya Rabbul Alameen. Ya Rabbul Alameen, open our hearts, open our minds, Ya Allah. Ya Rabbul Samawati wal Ard. Guide us, Ya Allah. Accept our du'as for the sake of your Rasul, sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Mawlana Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Mawlana Muhammad barik wa sallim. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursaleen walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Amin ya rabbil alamin.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen wal aqibatu lil muttaqin. As-salatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin Sayyidina Maulana Muhammadin wa khatimin nabiyyin sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. My respected Imam, my dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. May the peace, mercies, and blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be with us all here today. Alhamdulillah, by Allah's grace and mercies, we are gathered here once again at the San Fernando Jama Masjid for this all-important meeting to discuss the Anjuman, an agenda for reform. It has been 9 months since we last came to this place and began our journey to seek reformation of the Anjuman Sunnatul Jamaat Association. We've reached, I can say, a watershed moment, as it were. There are quite a few things that have developed, and by the grace and mercies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have to chart the way forward. Today we are indeed fortunate to once again have with us Haji Nizam Muhammad. He's no stranger to this Jamaat, nor is he a stranger to the Muslim community. We have sought his advice and we have accepted all the suggestions that he has made so far. And today we just want to recap as we move forward, and I'll give the floor to him, but he would really be, once again, beginning from the beginning with his working paper on this reform process that we have started. And hopefully by the end of that, we'll have a clearer picture as to the way forward. We welcome also those who are joining us on Zoom. Please share the link for those who you feel might be able to benefit from this meeting. It will be recorded and will be available again later on. But for those who wish to join live, as it were, you please feel free to share that with the others. So it gives me great pleasure to invite our dear Haji Nizam Muhammad to the microphone.
نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله محمد وآله وأصحابه وأهل بيته وأزواجه وذرياته أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Maulana Sahib Imams, my dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. On my own behalf, let me extend a very warm and cordial welcome to each and every one of you. You cannot imagine what your presence means to us, those of us who have been trying to work out something that will be in the best interests in the Muslim community, and more particularly the Anjuman Sunnatul Jamaat Association. Our brother Wahid has prepared a printed document which has been circulated. If there is anyone without a copy, you can get a copy. Just let us know and you can have a copy. There are some basic documents that would assist us and give us a very clear picture of where we have been coming from and where we are hoping to go. The first paper that has been printed here is a working paper on the way forward for resolving outstanding issues within the Anjuman Sunnatul Jamaat Association and other matters relating thereto. I will not go into the details of that except to say that this was prepared by me in my capacity as an attorney at law engaged in a current matter that is before the High Court of Trinidad and Tobago, where I am representing 3 members of the executive of the Anjuman who have applied to be joined as a claimant party to the proceedings that have been in existence, I think, since 2018 or 2019. And it was only since these 3 parties made their application and I got into the picture, then we have had some developments which I would like to bring to your attention. As a result of our preliminary or initial appearances before the court, the judge posed the question as to why can't we have some sort of settlement to these issues that have been raised by two trustees of the Anjuman, the late Imam Afzal Mohammed from Princestown and our brother Ismail Mohammed, the two trustees of the Anjuman. And it was just there before the court and postponements were being given. Nothing substantial was actually happening. And as a result of that, I prepared this working paper. As I said, I am not going to read this document to you. You can see one thing that is, I would like to actually draw to your attention is the spirit in which I and my clients, Brother Harul Mohammed, Brother Afzal Mohammed, and Imam Imtiaz Ali, the spirit in which we approached this task by them getting themselves involved in this matter. And that spirit is reflected in Quran and Hadith that is at the beginning of this document. And this document on the last page or the second page, I indicated that my clients and other supporters are of the view that the following should be addressed as a matter of urgency: production of a new constitution, ratification and adoption of same, free and fair elections pursuant to the provisions of a new constitution, identifying imams to assist in mobilizing the general membership, which is now woefully splintered, dismantle once and for all the seemingly Shiite model of monarchical succession based on cliques and family ties by establishing an independent asja devoid of ties of businesses, moneyed individuals, or family cliques. 6, proper accounting and establishment of systems of accountability to avoid favoritism, graft, corruption, and opportunities for naked theft. The above are by no means exhaustive, but is more than sufficient to commence discussions with the objective of arriving at consensus on the way forward. So arising out of that working paper, I can tell you with confidence that our approach regarding resolution of this High Court matter could not be resisted, and it was accepted, and we decided that we will work towards the establishment of a Constitution Review Committee. And the lawyers actually drew up an agreement, and that is at page 5 of that document. You have a document, Imam? Yes, page 5 of that document. And you would see that we established at the bottom of the first page there a committee comprising the following members, and I will read this since we have people who are connected to us via Zoom. Chairman of the committee, Justice Robin Mohammed. 2, Brother Imran Khan, Attorney at Law. Sister Shireen Mohammed, Attorney at Law. Mufti Asrarul Haq. Mufti Farid Jamal. Hasib Mohammed, Accountant. Maulana Siddiq Ahmad Nasir. Brother Fahim Mohammed. 8 members who make up this Constitution Review Committee. And we also, that is the agreement of the attorneys at law. You turn and you see at paragraph 6, the three parties engaged in the High Court action shall, by its representatives, jointly, and I emphasize the word jointly, jointly assist the committee in the establishment of the logistics for the efficient functioning of its activities. And the terms of reference of the Constitutional Review Committee, you look at paragraph 14 on the last page. The committee shall have a period of 4 months to complete its work or such other further time as is necessary for the CRC to complete its work as requested and approved by the National Executive and trustees of ASJA. Having given you that background information that is reflected in this document that has been circulated, I want to tell you this, that I am very perturbed and very, very concerned. We could not have established a committee without the parties to the litigation agreeing. That's number one. Number two, we could not make up a committee unless the parties agreed to those individuals. And what was the process? The lawyers invited names from the three parties that are involved in this litigation. From the defendants, and they are the current executive, members of the current executive, from the three executive members whom I represent, and from Brother Ishmael, who is the claimant in the matter. Three different sets of law attorneys representing these three parties were asked to consult with their clients and let their clients submit names. I submitted names. The attorney for the defendants, the current executive, submitted names. Brother Ishmael's attorney submitted names. And we came up and we agreed to these 8 persons. Also, the lawyers cannot do anything in this matter unless they receive 2 things: instructions from their clients and approval of what they are doing from their clients. So our clients agreed to these terms of reference that I have alluded to, all 3 sets of lawyers. And the agreement that the lawyers arrived at, we did that in consultation with our clients. And the 3 parties, this is what the lawyers agreed to on behalf of their clients, engaged in the High Court action shall by its representatives jointly assist the committee in the establishment of the logistics for the efficient functioning of its activities, for it to do its work. One would get the impression, and this is where I was misled, and by extension my clients were misled. When we got together to put a Constitution Review Committee in place for the purpose of either revising any one of the existing constitutions or producing an entirely new constitution, we thought that collaboration had started, cooperation had started, that the preamble or the beginning of the working paper, the very first page of this document, we were all adhering to these Quranic injunctions and Quranic guidance. But it appears as if we were mistaken, because this committee was served with each member was served with his or her instrument of appointment on the 30th of September. And to date, absolutely nothing has happened. Absolutely nothing has happened. Before they were served, we agreed on the names since April of this year. And only on the 30th of September they were served. And we agreed on these names then, and 30th of September they are served. From the 30th to now, nothing has happened. So we have found ourselves in a rather difficult situation, because it appears as if there is no collaboration. Out of the blue, within the last 3 weeks or so, you see notice going out from the current executive that they are having a General Assembly. That they are, you will see in the terms of reference, that this CRC is being asked to put a constitution together that reflects the Aqidah of the Anjuman. But they have given out a 2 or 3 page document where imams have to stamp and certify that every delegate that is coming subscribes to Aqidah, and some words that are mentioned for the first time. Who made up this? Where it came from? Is a question that the general membership of the Anjuman has to be asking. But something has happened. Something has happened in this Anjuman Sunnatul Jamaat Association, and it took 20 years of chiseling out and distancing the rank and file membership of the Anjuman from a small clique that now holds on to the Anjuman and refuses to adhere to some of the basic principles of governing the affairs of an Islamic organization. So they have gone by themselves. What has happened? Our brother Wahid, in his own perhaps feeling of desperation and so on, he has written a letter. And again, I ask you to look at that letter, and I want you to bear with me, because I want those who are linked and who are not here and do not have in their possession this document, think about the spirit in which we are approaching this exercise. No recrimination, no acrimony, no name calling, no fighting, no swearing, nothing of the sort. And the brother took it upon himself and he wrote this letter. And this was on November the 7th. I just want to read the body of the letter quickly for you. I write this missive for and on behalf of the Imam and members of the San Fernando Jama Masjid in the spirit of love, understanding and brotherhood as taught to us by Allah and His beloved messenger and servant Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I am inspired by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's glorious words in the Holy Quran chapter 3 verse 143. And hold fast altogether by the rope which Allah stretches out for you, and be not divided among yourselves, and remember with gratitude Allah's favor on you, for you were enemies, and He joined your hearts in love, so that by His grace ye became brethren, and ye were on the brink of the pit of fire, and He saved you from it. Thus doth Allah make His signs clear to you, that ye may be guided. Brothers and sisters, why since the beginning of this year, when we embarked on finding a solution or solutions, an out-of-court settlement, until today, not a single member of that executive, of which comprises at least 10 imams. Not one has lifted a finger to say, wait a minute. Something is wrong, and if something is wrong, we have the collective responsibility to put it right. Not a single one until today. This is the 11th month. 11 months now or 10 months now. Absolutely nothing. Why I am reading this letter. This came before the executive. He sent a copy to the imam and head of the region that this Jamaat belongs to. And this letter was read at their executive meeting last Sunday. And you know what? It was thrown aside, dismissed. You see, don't worry with he. He belonged to another organization called Aswiji. That is the feedback that we have gotten from the manner in which they have treated this letter. What do we do in a situation like that? We have to go to the people. And that is why we are coming to you. And how would we succeed amongst the people? It is a monumental task. And they are banking on the fact that they have decimated the Anjuman, and they know that there is no cohesion in the Anjuman, and as a result of that, they will exploit that, and they feel using Aqidah to have those Jamaats that they hold captive in their hands, to give them a block vote at any event in the Anjuman, that they will continue to dominate and own the Anjuman. They have done all sorts of things in this Anjuman that people have to be aware of. $8 million. And they say, what? It was invested. Who invested the money? Who gave authority to invest Anjuman's money? They made a profit. What nature of the investment was it? Don't we have a right to know? $8 million of the Anjuman money? They said they made $700,000 profit. Where was that money invested? And who gave the authority for that money to be invested? Isn't this a matter of concern? But you see, the rank and file membership does not know about these things. They don't know about these things. This Anjuman fell into a situation where one man was the President General of the Anjuman, and he wrote up a constitution which is illegal. That is the subject matter of the litigation. Illegal. And in that, they provide for the appointment of a comptroller of accounts. And you know who they appointed as the comptroller of accounts? The son of the President General. The President General is the head of the Education Board. He is the President General, and then his son is the Comptroller of Accounts. $54 million passed through the Anjuman for the construction of several secondary schools, and not a single properly audited account. And we have to sit down and stay quiet. You know what those schools mean to the Muslim community of Trinidad and Tobago? You know how many of us were saved and were made to follow Islam because we were brought into an Islamic environment through employment. I was one of those. You know how many of our daughters found their husbands within the fold of Islam because they were teachers in the Muslim schools. You know how many Muslims have been educated in those Muslim schools? And look at where they have taken the Anjuman today. Do you know, we have been trying to build within the Anjuman, we have been trying to build the Haji Ruknuddin Institute. Another thing, the ladies section, they have stealthily, without authority, in the most surreptitious way that you can imagine, what they have done is that they have hived off certain parts of the Anjuman, unknown to anybody. Secretly they have done this. The Haji Ruknuddin Institute, for your information, is a private company. It does not belong to the Anjuman. The ladies section of the Anjuman, to spite and because of family squabbles and so on, they registered the ladies section as a private company. A private company. The Haji Ruknuddin Institute. Just want to read something here for you. In 2020, these are documents that I have here from the Office of the Registrar of Companies that we have obtained. In September 1st, 2020, they filed continuing incorporation, continuance of the, this was done in 2003. 2003. And all 2020, you had individuals, innocent individuals, business people and so on, contributing money, thinking they were assisting the Anjuman, but the Anjuman, they're contributing money towards the institute, but the institute belongs to a private, it is a separate legal entity. You know who were the directors of the company in 2020 when it was registered? Yaqub Ali, Shamshad Ali. You know who he is in terms of who Yaqub Ali is? That is his son, the controller of accounts. Haidar Ali Hussein. They didn't put any occupation for him. That's 3. And Zainul Sarafat. You wouldn't know who that is. You may have heard that he is the current President General of the Anjuman Sunnatul Jamaat Association. Has that man... Anyway, alhamdulillah. Astaghfirullah. He is the President General of the Anjuman. I have sent messages to this man. I have begged him in all ways. Give me a call now. Let us talk. We are brothers. He doesn't even have the capacity to make a phone call to me. Because all of them are in the hands of the controller. And this is what the Anjuman has come to. The current directors of the ladies section, ask anybody what they have ever done. But it is owned privately. It doesn't belong to the Anjuman. Jenny Williams Mohammed from Charleville, and she is a teacher. Afiza Ojir from Kunupia, she is a consultant. They didn't say what. Brijma Mohammed, technical assistant. Fazila Akbar Ali, teacher, principal. Caroni Savannah Road, Charleville. They are the directors, and Brijma Mohammed is the secretary. The secretary of the Haji Ruknuddin Institute is Zainul Sarafat. You see what they have done to the Anjuman? So that the only thing that they were left with was the education board. And that is how so many Jamaats were abandoned, and they have only held on to those whom they are sure that certain Imams will toe the line. And we are begging these Imams, Ya Allah, listen to us. You go up on the mimbar every Friday. You quote from Quran and you quote from Hadith. Open your heart, understand what you are doing. Stand up for what is right, enjoin what is right, and forbid what is wrong. If something is wrong, let us change what is wrong and make it correct. Let us do it with love and understanding and cooperation. Let us put bygones behind us. Let us have a new beginning. What happened to these Imams? Don't they have a conscience? So you who are here, we want you to talk to your Imams. Put something in their hearts and in their heads. I do not understand. I have stated that the Anjuman is in total ruins at the rate that we are going. So these are some of the dangers that have emerged, some of the peril that we face, and the situation that the Anjuman faces. What do we do? The question is, what do we do? They refuse to work with us. The same way we got together and we put the Constitution Review Committee together, why can't we get together and make sure the Constitution Committee does its work? 4 months to complete its work, and about 6 weeks have gone already from the 30th of September to now. Absolutely nothing has happened. What we did was, we suggested, Haji Ismail Muhammad, the claimant, he suggested, because I failed to get a General Assembly at which we could have presented the Constitution Review Committee and all their terms of reference and everything, and get the entire Anjuman, the entire body involved in this exercise where we can make contributions in the rewriting of a new constitution. That was rejected. I got no support. I made up an agenda. I suggested this masjid as the venue. I wrote out a speech for one of the lawyers to read in the form of a report. Another one would have chaired the function, and the third one, those are signatories to this agreement here, the third one would have installed and handed out the instruments of appointment in the presence and in everybody else witnessing. By doing that, the whole of the Anjuman would have been enlightened and lit up to know that something big is happening in the Muslim community. They threw it out. I got no support. Brother Ishmael, he says, let us write and seek a meeting with the chairman and members of the committee, the lawyers representing the three parties, and all members of the three parties. Well, he has his lawyer writing that since October month, he had to ask the lawyer what is happening. So all sides we getting blows, to tell you the truth. Since the 30th of October and up to today, he can't tell us, look, this is a copy of what was sent out. Because his lawyer don't know if it was sent out from his office. You understand what we are facing? And here am I. You know, I wonder if they're hoping that my voice is a voice in the wilderness. That executive is hoping that my voice is a voice in the wilderness. But you are the ones to rescue the Anjuman. You are the ones. The only way that we can go forward is to reorganize these regional councils and to get these Jamaats involved. If we don't tell the people, how will they know? How will they know? And how are we to communicate with them? The only way we can communicate with them is to interface. A face-to-face meeting as we are having here this evening. And the number of you who have shown up, I am hoping that by listening to us this evening, that some of you will come up with something. I have a lot more to say, you know, but I hope that some of you will come up with something to tell us, and by, for the sake of Allah, please don't direct us what to do. We will do if you tell us you're joining with us. Right? Because that is what in our chat, you get all kinds of pronouncements. And when you ask questions, people can't answer. But everybody becomes a mufti. And everybody is a director. Like when you're building a masjid, everybody is architect, everybody is engineer, everybody is carpenter, everybody is joiner, everything. Designer. Similarly, with this exercise, we have a chat. I beg everybody on the chat, let us concentrate on what we are doing now. Let us get this thing off the ground, this Constitution Review Committee, and let us see what we can do. Understand the dilemma in which the community is finding itself. And you know what? Understand, I do not know of any member of this reform committee who is canvassing for any office. I do not know, I have not heard, I have not seen. As for me, you know where I stand. All of you know, from day one I have told all of you where I stand in this matter. But yet you have these recalcitrants who will not open their hearts and hear them. Oh, it's a power struggle, them fellas fighting for power. Everybody have their own agenda. Why can't we have an agenda for the Anjuman? Them fellas fighting for power. This one looking for office, that one, oh, it's sour grapes. Them fellas lose the election, the illegal election that they had in 2018. That's why they're in the courthouse. And that kind of thing. Nobody is thinking about the welfare of the Anjuman. It is nearing time for Azan. Brothers, I had to give you as much as I can within this limited time. I consider this meeting, brothers and sisters, to be a critical meeting, extremely important. Nothing is more important than this to me today, because this will determine which direction this effort will go. So, Imam, you wanted to say something. I think we can start now.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Mr. Chairman, Imams, my dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
There's a few things I would like to say, and it's important, and that is, in 1986 to 1987, a lot of people in Trinidad and Tobago, even members in our Jama, don't know what took place. First of all, we had some money that we were getting from Islamic Development Bank. I understand it was taken and put in the bin, and I took my own money and I went to Saudi Arabia. And we get the choice in the bin, but we take it off. The man was Dr. Hack. Dr. Hack, he was the chairman of the Islamic Development Bank in all of these countries in this side. And we got $286,000 US. In that process of the money, I came back in Trinidad, but Dr. Hack came back into Trinidad. And he said he need to talk to us to see. And then in that case, he was going to give us the $286,000 US. I think it was about 624 or 630, not now it's 68, but 624 or 630. At that time, he said to us, we are not given money. We only given money for the institute and for the schools. And we negotiate with him. I used to be the vice president of the ASJA at that time. And before you should understand that the man who brought me the ASJA is Haji Shafik Rahman. Haji Shafik Rahman brought me into the ASJA. I didn't go through no, as a senator, I say, you come my masjid, I say, come back in the executive. And in 3 years, I became the vice president, second vice president, first vice president. And I stayed there for many years in the ASJA. So I was start to take about this money, the $286,000 and eventually they agreed to give us the money. But when the money came to Trinidad, before the money came to Trinidad, they had a problem. The problem was the Haji Rukun Institute. I would like to ask if Greens is here to ask a question. And you could address to the chairman or to everybody else. I would like to know from Greens, as a vice president for so long, the Haji Rukun Institute in there, is it in the ASJA name or somebody else's name?
Well, you didn't hear what I said or what? I told you it is a private company owned by Sarafat, Haidar Ali Hussein, Yaqub Ali, and Shamshad Ali.
No, but talking about the institute, right in Markaz.
2003, they incorporated a private company.
Right.
2003.
But as Nizam was just giving his to everybody else, I decided to bring it up now because at that time, at 2006, I left the ASJA not too long, and I still as a member of the PCO Jamaat as the Imam. But the issue here is, when the money was coming to Trinidad, I told Dr. Hack, I said, look, we have a serious problem. We want to take the $286,000, but could we take the money? We want to build the school in Tunapuna. And he went there, we see Tunapuna, and if you want to build the school, there's no problem. I said, okay. And the money came to Trinidad. When the money came to Trinidad, it was given to Yaqub, $286,000 US. I don't know up till now where the money went and where it didn't go through. So you have to understand what is happening as you give the little introduction to everybody, what is going on in the ASJA. And that is why we get out of the ASJA. Maybe it's the wrong thing at that time to get out of the ASJA. We should have stayed there, but you can't deal with Yaqub. You cannot deal with Yaqub. Yaqub tells us something now, and the next day, Yaqub changing his own, writing his own constitution, change everything. And that is why we have to get out. But I also told Hack, again, he said, I'm coming back to Trinidad. And when I come back to Trinidad, we will discuss the matter and take the money, build the school into Tunapuna. I said, okay. He said, when I come back to Trinidad, we will discuss the matter of the institute. I said, the institute is going to build here, where? In Markaz. And when he came back to Trinidad, I left the ASJA. But Yaqub called me back on the phone. He called me back home in the office. And when I answered the phone, he says, Haji, I need to come up to talk to somebody in Trinidad. I said, what are you talking about? From Saudi Arabia. Because he came to Trinidad and he was dealing with me with the money all the time to get the money in Trinidad, Tobago. Nobody else in the ASJA, no. Even them fellas who run in the ASJA, no, they don't know nothing about it. Because I never was in the meeting, I didn't know what is happening. So when he came to Trinidad, we was up in Markaz. I remember the guy had PW 4,500 Super Saloon. And And Nizam Mohammed, same Nizam who sitting there, said, Kamal, I will drive the car. I said, no, I will drive, you go down the road. When you reach, just about a few miles off, he said, I sit on the back and talking to Dr. Hack in the back. He said, I will drive your car and you go in the back. So Nizam take my car, 4500, driving in front, but I went in the back and I started to talk to Dr. Hack for the money for the institute. And we came right down to Trinidad and South here to see the Astra Boys College, the Girls College, and also the primary school. Because he wanted to see what we were doing. And they came down here and he said everything. And Nizam was driving my car coming along the road, and he was in the back talking to him. He said, okay, I'll arrange for you. I will arrange for you the money to build the institute. And that is why I asked you just now, who owned the institute? And I want you to explain very carefully. When I was talking to Jacob in between, and the land, Jacob didn't know how that institute land came in Charleville. Imtiaz are here, no? Imtiaz here. Imtiaz here. Imtiaz and myself, we went and we get 10 acres. I want you to listen very carefully. And because of what he's saying today, then I tell you, no. I didn't say the last meeting, no. The problem is, if the Anjuman Sunatul Jamaat, and then we are taking this thing and putting it in somebody's name, and not the Anjuman Sunatul Jamaat, what is the position with the Asya? What he's saying now, you're not understanding what he's getting. I have to give you some more information. And then when I told Doctor, we'll get the money, he said, I'll get the money for the institute. But I left one after that, I left the Asya. I didn't want to stay there because that is the problem. On the basis of that, Dr. said, I'm going back, but I'll get the money for the institute. Because the money we had, the 286,000 went and spent where? And the government also give Astra money to build that school in Tunapuna, plus $286,000. You have to understand what is happening, you know. I know here, I have the asset for 20 years, but here now Nizam now saying it is done by somebody's name and not the Asya. So I asked, who owns the institute right now? On the basis of that, the money came outside, but I did not see how much the money came from Asya. The first time I knew was $286,000. But the second time, I was out of the Asya, and then Jacob telling nobody nothing about the money. Money came in Trinidad to build that institute. But that 10 acres, Jacob may know how that come. Imtiaz was here, Imtiaz knew we built that 10 acres. We built the school in front. The primary school, we built that with Imtiaz and them. After that, we built the school, the compound later for the cricket ground. And all the land on the left side, where the institute built, all that was in the 10 acres. And that is what is going to happen in this whole issue with the Astra is we have to understand what the chairman just said a while ago, and if we are continuing what's going on in the Astra now, the Astra going. The money came to Jacob to build that institute. Now I had it in somebody else's name, not in the Astra name. The first 10 acres, Jacob knew nothing about that. Because in Tia's name was, we went and get this done and fix it down. And when the money came, and the money gave the Astra, up to now, we don't know how much money came to the Astra and how much Jacob take and what Jacob take. All I just said, $8 million was taken from the Astra and give out and all kind of. And that is what is going on in the Astra area. One man owned the Astra. Owned the Astra. When I realized what was going on here, and I want you to listen very carefully, I called Jacob on the phone. I said, Jacob, I want to come and see you in the office. He said, okay, come up in the office. So I I drive in Faizabad, and I went to Yaqub office here. So when I went inside and I'm talking to Yaqub, I said, I need to tell you something, and I need to ask you something, and give me some answers. And when I went in the office, there, I met Greens. Same Greens who there, he was sitting right there. He was outside. So I said, Yaqub, we need to talk. So then, Greens is outside, so he asked me if you will let Greens come inside in the office. I said, yes. I said, let Greens come inside. It doesn't matter if Greens stay outside. Let Greens come inside. And Greens came inside Yaqub's office, and the first thing I asked Yaqub, I said, Yaqub, I'm telling you something very important with this Astra today. And you have to listen to what Nizam is saying and what I am saying. When I asked Yaqub, I said, Yaqub, why you, Yaqub, is appointing so much trustees all over this country? I said the trustees is due to the President General, and who the other? Greens and Afzal. Why are you appointing so much trustees? You have on 6 or 7, 8, 9 trustees in the Astra. What is going on in the Astra? He laughing and, he making noise. I said, Greens, I said, Yaqub, listen very carefully what I am saying. I said, you listen very good. What I saying to you. But Greens was there, so he listened. I said, this Astra right now have about $2 billion in school, and all the institute all over this country, over $2 billion to $3 billion. And why are you appointing all these trustees when you're supposed to only have 33 trustees? The trustees are supposed to get in a general council meeting, and you appoint their trustees. And everything that you go to, I say, Yaqub, I say, let me tell you something. You're doing the wrong thing right now. If tomorrow you close your eye, exactly what I'm saying to Yaqub, I say, Yaqub, if you close your eye tomorrow, what happened to the $3 billion of Astra property all over? Forget the Jamaat who give it to Astra. My Jamaat, I build it, they pack up there, it's neutral. But we are associated with the Astra. So I told him very clearly, I said, Yaqub, I said, whatever you're doing now, you're going to put this Astra in a serious problem. And there's people in this whole people all over this country. This is what is happening today. He said, Haji, I go see about it. And he see about it, and he seen about it. He see nothing about it. Right. It's $2-3 billion in Astra, and who right now own it right now? Is the Astra or who? And that is the problem. The problem here now, right now, is what is happening today. It is important for us to decide what we have to do to change it up. And if you can't change it, it will remain as it is, and nobody with the Astra will say they own this. It ain't own them. It's owned by the certain people who he said a while ago. Assalamu alaikum.
The situation is, as I have indicated, and the Imam has given us a little insight into some of the things that have gone by. The question right now is, where do we go from here? And I am telling you what is required. Unless you have other ideas, you are most welcome to give us your ideas. What is required is for us to let the general membership of the Anjuman know what is taking place and what has taken place in the Anjuman. And if we are able to convince them, perhaps something is going to happen. But if the don't care attitude or this kind of casual approach is taken, I don't think that we are going to get anywhere. We have to get committed people who feel in their hearts that the most important thing when we're doing this, when we are deliberating Anjuman business, is the Anjuman business, and nothing else supersedes that. And then we'll be setting the example and inspiring others to get together with us and for us to move forward. So that is where we are. I don't know if any one of you have anything to say concerning what we have. I'm telling you, we need to go out there. We need to recruit more head table people at the regional level who can go out there amongst the people in the regional areas and who would be able to keep constant communication with them and keep the issues alive. That is what is required. One of the problems is you have imams who are indifferent. They really don't care. They really don't care. And others who, as I say, who are in the executive, they are not showing any indication that they are going to adhere to Quran and say they will stand up for what is right and they will put what is right wrong, as is their duty to do. So how do we handle this situation? Any suggestions? We have a microphone there. Anybody has anything to say?
Assalamu alaikum. The name is Alan Mahabir. My question is this: seeing that we have the members of the committee, the CRC, and about 6 weeks it's reported that they have not met to discuss anything to move forward. What I'm saying, another point was raised in terms of how are we to go forward from here. My suggestion is this, and I don't know if you all share the same view, but it seems to me that Astra will not do anything, absolutely nothing at all, based on what I'm hearing, that the imams, they sit quietly, they are not saying anything. Those who are elected on the Imam Council as well as the others, they, for some reason, would not want to effect change. It seems to me that this is coming from the external. And my suggestion is that if perhaps we can sensitize the general public, not only members of Astra, but in the wider community, I don't know if we're permitted to do that in the form of a newspaper ad. In so doing, we may attract the attention of a lot more persons, and they will be aware, conscious of what our intentions are in effecting the change. So I don't know if that is probably possible, because we may go to our various imams and tell them, well, listen, we want to effect change. They may not want to move. They may not want to move from their position. They may maintain that and ignore us. So how are we going to apply this pressure externally, that is? So that's basically my suggestion for the time being. Jazakallah khair.
My experience is that the only way you exert that pressure, and I'm responding to you, is if you get public support. And the only way for us to get public support is for us to sensitize the public. Therefore, what you are suggesting is that we have to come up with ways and means, not necessarily just what you have mentioned about the newspaper ad, ways and means of sensitizing the public. Now, we have to figure out how we go about doing that. And the first requirement is you have to get trusted and committed people you can have confidence in. They give you their word, you have their word. You understand what I'm saying? And when you take a decision, there has to be implementation. Implementation requires cooperation, consolidation of effort, that sort of thing. And the question is, how do we get that cadre, that group of committed people? That is the question. How do we get that group of committed people? I am saying you work with what you have. You have to start with what you have. You have in existence a Jamaat, you have in existence a region. How do we get to the Jamaat and how do we get to the region? We need the manpower to do that. And I think we have, what, five regions? How many? 5 regions. We have 5 regions. How do we harness that support in those 5 regions? I don't know if there is anyone who is close to us and who is connected via the Zoom, if they want to say anything. Take the mic now.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Well, I am, Afzal Abdullah. I'm a member of the Region D, a senior member, past chairman. And we have here 2 representatives. What we do during the meeting, every opportunity we get, we talk about the work of the Reform Committee and the CRC, the difficulties that we are getting. We also attend programs within the region and do such. I think that should be intensified throughout the country, and because there are some people close to the Reform Committee members, a membership can sort of intensify that approach, so that is one approach we could exhaust fully, inshallah.
Yeah. Brother Riyasat, you are in Region D? Yeah. Is it possible? How many Jamaats in Region D?
About 12.
How much?
12. Come to the meeting. The meeting is about 17 people attend, 10, 12.
About 12, 10, 12 Jamaats? Is it possible that those of you who reside within that region, not necessarily being involved, because you are involved down in Barako, Brother Nazir? Yeah. Is it possible that you all can get together and bring out members from 10, 12 Jamaats and let us come and talk to them and tell them what is happening and tell them to sensitize the general membership? And if we do that as a pilot project, then we could talk to others in other regions and see whether this can happen.
Right here, you have 4 members of 4 Jamaats in the region.
Right.
So if you 4 up and get 2 members from each Jamaat, you have 4, 8, and you can get 4. Inshallah.
Well, 4 by 5 is 20. If you have 5 people from 5 individuals from each Jamaat, 4 by 5, you have 20 individuals there to spread the word. I believe the only way for us to get the message out is to see how we can get others to become interested in what is happening in the Anjuman. That is the only way. Because the way they have tied up that executive, it is well sewn up, you know. And I didn't make this point before, but I think they have until next year, and how long next year, I don't know, when their term will run out. So by establishing this Constitution Committee and leaving it to just simmer rather than to get moving, they are playing for time. So where do we go? We have to go to the people. So if we have, what is that region? Region D? Yeah. Yes.
We have 5 people.
How much?
5.
Yeah. I want to find out something from Brother Wahid. Since he had sent this letter to his region, a copy of his letter had gone to the region. The head of that region is an imam who is on the executive by virtue of him being the chairman of the region.
Yes, Haji said, the region held a monthly meeting earlier this month, and I was given the opportunity to read the contents of that letter that I sent to the Secretary General and CC'd to both Imam Ayub Lachan, who is the chairman of the region, Region C, as well as to Haji Zainul Sarafat. The opportunity was given for me to read it out in the records, but the only comment coming from the floor was that that was sent to the General Secretary and he would respond. And no one from the meeting made any comments with respect to what was said on that day. That is the extent of our activity with the region with respect to that letter. It now leaves us in a position not having even received a response from the General Secretary, and with part of that letter that stated that we thought that it was not in the best spirit to have called for a General Assembly meeting knowing that the Constitution Review Committee was appointed and should get along with its work of trying to figure out whether we are operating with a legal constitution or not, and whether we should adopt a new one or have a revised one or not. We thought maybe they would give us some response, but nothing has been done. I think we are now in the position we just have a couple of days remaining, and we may now have to seek legal recourse if they don't respond before Sunday, inshallah.
The question I have is, what, if anything, was wrong with the original constitution of the ASHA?
As far as we are aware, nothing was wrong with the original.
So the question is, why do we need a Constitution Review Committee if the constitution that we originally had is a proper constitution, and the constitution under which we are said to be operating has not been approved by General Council, and that means that that constitution is null and void. So the question is that all this exercise that we're doing is an exercise in futility. If that is the case, we operate under a constitution that has been approved. If there's a need for us to go back in and make adjustments to the constitution, because that constitution is more than 30 years old, then we need to do that.
Well, if you look at the terms of reference, it is very clear there. In the document that we circulated, it says that the committee is to consider the history of ASJA, the constitution of ASJA, the structure of ASJA and its membership, and make determination as to what type and structure of constitution is fit for purpose and for the future of ASJA to provide growth, development, continuity, and stability. The CRC is to consider, this is the point, whether it ought to amend the existing constitution of ASJA, utilizing all existing constitutional documents as a guide, or whether it ought to draft a new constitution of ASJA. If that later process, if deemed appropriate, all submissions and constitutional documents can be utilized as source material as the committee sees fit.
Okay, point taken. So after I have been able to read the complete document,
Yes.
I may have a different impression. But that's my position at this point in time. If you have a constitution that's valid, you need to run with it. Now I am seeing, and this has been happening for a very long time, many wrongs have been taken place. The question is there any provision under the ASHA terms of reference? And I'm not referring to a constitution now, I'm referring to anything else that exists that would allow some form of punishment or some people to be able to come up and say, listen, this is wrong. We know, I've been hearing that we have not no financial reports and so on, right? If that is the case, it was a mechanism for it. And the other thing is that this method of doing what we say we will do, which is do it by regions and so on, is it that we are asking that people be energized now to adjust ASHA when, in my opinion, I do not think over half of the Jamas in the island have any respect for ASHA.
Well, that is what we are hoping to
Let
do.
me finish my statement, right? When I say I have no respect for ASHA, because Jamas have been really put on the sidewalk for 20 years, right? We have had little things happen, but generally, there has been not a progressive approach, you know. In the days gone by, you used to have Maktab, and Maktab used to be supervised, and ASHA used to come and make sure people following the syllabus and so on and so on. A lot of that kind of thing has disappeared. And ASHA has come out of the blue now and has been asking for funny things that almost have nothing to do with Islam. They're asking you for your deed for your land and your mosque and all kind of thing. So it's a queer kind of arrangement which people kind of get perturbed. I want to know, what is it really going on? And now I realize that there has been a lot of wrong things taking place. And for 20 years, the people who there never said anything, well, including myself. But at the end of the day, I don't know if the approach of using the down below to go up on top is going to work unless we get the top. The top has to pay for or explain why is it you're not following what is proper rule of ethics.
They are not accountable to anyone. They will have a wishy-washy General Assembly meeting. I hope you will attend on Sunday, I think it is.
I'm not attending because I don't find that, I really don't, I don't like to be hypocritical. And I find that is really hypocritical for you to be doing something like that. And if our job as ASHA is to build Islam, they will, from today to Sunday, you can't do anything about that, right? So from today to Sunday, they will continue and they will get through it what they have to get through it. And I'm sure that if we go, sometimes they say, but your name not on the list here. We have had that embarrassing situation before with our members, and people come back and say, well,
there are those who, for want of a better expression, who are feeding at the trough, and they are the ones who will come out and they will stage a General Assembly meeting, and they will have everything there, and they will get people who don't know the truth.
And I've been to meetings before, and the people who want to come out and say something, they get shut down
and they switch off the mic and all that kind of thing. I saw the mic switched off for the late Imam Afzal.
All I'm wondering is if we pursue this process, if it will not end up being an automatic split in ASHA.
In what way would it be a split? I am not engaged in those splits.
Let's assume, for example, that we get 50% of the Jamaats to agree with what we say, right? But you don't get the head to change at all, and the head doesn't change. Even Sunday it doesn't change, right? Then what happens is that at some point in time somebody will say, like, I really tired of trying to get them to change. Let me go and do my own thing. I don't know, just a thought. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam. we are not engaged in anything that will encourage any split in any organization. The organization is already splintered. Right? What we are doing is trying to pull it together. That is what we are doing. Trying to pull it together. So that, I think that is out of the question. Who is creating? I don't belong to any clique and any group, to say this group want to take over ASJA. This group wants to create a level playing field, wants free and fair elections, want a system whereby those who have the ASJA in their back pocket, that era will come to an end. That is what we have to be doing. And if we don't do it, it means the Muslim community in Trinidad and Tobago is ruined. I am telling you that I will not be around. But those who will be around will see. I know what institutions mean for the Muslim community in Trinidad and Tobago. I know what it means. I know the kind of society in which we operate and what will happen if the Muslims do not have a voice. You raised a question about what can we do if these people do not budge and so on. You have something called the Freedom of Information Act. We can go to the authorities. We have police officers and things present here, ex-police officers and so on. There's something called the Fraud Squad. These people can't get away with this kind of thing. But as a last resort, we are saying in this document, we are following Quran. Read again chapter 49. If there are disputes, get together and be like brothers one to another and resolve your differences. But if one is determined to fight the other one, join with those who are fighting for righteousness and pursue it to the very end. That is the guidance that we have here. So this is not about one clique or one group wanting to take over ASJA and that kind of thing. It is that we want to create a level playing field for all. More than that, we want to attract leadership in the Anjuman. From the very top of the Anjuman right down to executives of Jamaats. We want to get the best leaders to do the same thing that you mentioned about. Revive the maktabs and youth groups and all these kinds of activities. Yes,
Brothers, assalamu alaikum, and sisters, if anybody is looking on. The Anjuman Sunnah Jamaat has been going through an ordeal for a long time now. And if we, at this point in time, do not take a stand and try to straighten it out, understand what Haji Nizam is saying, and I'm saying this in support of what he's saying, that we are not about trying to take over the ASJA, or we are poor hungry, or we feel that we lost something. The ASJA is ours. The ASJA belongs to the people. The ASJA is the Jamaats that exist in this country under that umbrella body. And if we do not do it now, I'm telling you, we are the last straw. Those who are coming behind us, the younger ones, like somebody said rightly, that they no longer have a love for the ASJA. Because why? It has been disintegrated. What used to be the ASJA, the close-knit family of the ASJA that was long before the reign of the last president, I say it clearly, was a nice, knitted organization looking after the interests of thing. I mean, all of us know the ASJA Boys College started under this very same masjid here when we had no resources. And from that we have 13 schools now. 13 schools, 7 primary and 6 colleges, including girls' colleges. This is a mark for the Muslim community. Why are we allowing a few people to hijack the organization for their own benefit? I mean, there are 2 other matters in the court that has not been mentioned here. And those are matters concerning the finances, right? We want a forensic audit. But you see, unless we have people understanding the importance and the seriousness of this thing, it's a lost cause, you know. We are the last straw, understand this clearly. I don't know how important and how to bring this home. But us, the people who are fighting the battle now, if we do not succeed, the Asha will go like the TIA. And two people, the TIA is now run by two people, right? If Asha is going to continue on that road, we're going to do the same thing, and they're going to use the resource. Somebody mentioned, Kamaluddin mentioned the amount of assets that we have in the organization. The same person who holds those two portfolios as financial controller and second vice president, he's also the buildings committee chairman, right? We have 11 acres of land in Devi, in Pinal. We have another 10 acres of land that a person hijacked half of it in Robin Saab, right? All of these assets that we have, Princess Town, right? We have all of these things. But if we do not get together, and look, in Charlieville, we have this compound. We could have that compound running over the weekend, where all our Muslim people could come. It could be the center of activities for every weekend. We could raise funds. We could have, there's a lot of things that we can do, right? Look, there's a very, very important thing that everybody doesn't consider, right? And Haji alluded to it in a small way. That when you associate with the Muslim people, you have what is the most important coming out of that? Marriage. Marriage in Islam. And if we do not set the trend and we do not put the arena in place, we will continue to have divorce in Islam. You know, let me tell you something from facts. Of the Ashra Divorce Council, 80% or 90% of the divorces that come through that council is of mixed marriages. Right? We have a divorce council. You know what? We do not have a marriage bureau. I tried to get the marriage bureau going, but with all the opposition. There are many of us who fight and still fighting, you know. We're still fighting. We haven't given up the fight. Right? But the way I feel it now, very despondent in this whole thing. So we are depending on you guys to spread this message, and let us take back the reins of the Ashra and put it back into the hands of the people. Assalamu alaikum.
We have anybody from any other region who can come up with an idea of us going and interacting with the people in the region, or even in a masjid, in a Jamaat. You get 10 people in a Jamaat to come out and listen to us, we go and talk to them and see if they can influence the rest of the people in their Jamaat.
Yeah, good day. I am Yusuf, right? I just wanted to suggest that some people from right here, if we could go to the Jamaats and sensitize the people about what is happening, and one by one, and then we get a group, as you say, and we speak to everybody. That's the only way the message will go out, except using the media. But if we could form a little group and we say, listen, let us target for the week 3-4 Jamaats, you know, that might be help in sensitizing the people.
Now, the rewriting of a constitution is a very technical exercise. So you wouldn't get 20 people showing an interest in a constitution or rewriting of a constitution in a Jamaat. Okay? You may get 2 or 3. But you see, those 2 or 3 would be the ones when we produce a constitution to put meaning to the constitution. That is to say that they could mobilize people and say, come out in a general assembly to make sure that the new constitution is going to work. I'll give you an example. If we have a constitution and that constitution allows for one individual to put up a slate of candidates as happened in the last election. Okay? And they had their inside people and they put them up together and so on. If a constitution allows for that, then you will get the same thing happening again. But if we are having discussions and we are making submissions, and that is a sore point in a constitution, we can tell those who are writing the constitution to ensure that a constitution prohibits that kind of slate voting, imitating Steelban Association and Calypsonians Association in Islam. the premier Muslim organization. You know, make a special provision to disallow that. Then you're giving everybody a fair chance. Somebody from region D you mentioned, somebody from region D, you know you have a brother who will spend his time and use his resources, and he will hit the road and go to the field and keep the Jamaats in his region alive. You may want him to become a member of the executive of the Anjuman. So you can tell people, look, this is a good brother to be on the executive if we want to change things. And you similarly in other regions. So at the end of the day, when you put such individuals together, it means that you will have a different group and the right people who will be able to revolutionize and reorganize and revitalize the Anjuman. But we have to go and tell the people how critical it is to do things in a certain kind of way. So let us see what will happen. What region you all in? Region D? D? Yeah. Let's see what happens there. And let's see, Brother Wahid could get a feel of what can happen in his region. And we will take things from there, or see what we can do in individual Jamaats. We may go to one Jamaat in a region, and we might get 3 people in that Jamaat to go and wake up all the Jamaats within that Jamaat's region. You know, but we have to keep going. So if we could take a decision here tonight that we can use the chat, or if at any time we want to have a Zoom meeting. I don't know how plausible it is. I am not that savvy with this technology and so on. You know how we can have a Zoom meeting to discuss a matter that is related to a particular region or a particular Jamaat. Brother Wahid is the man to do that. Okay? I don't want to detain you all any further. I want to really thank you all for coming out. I'm sure that it would have been an experience for you all to get a deeper insight into what exists in the Anjuman and the need for us to do something. And I know for a fact that they are relying on the lethargy that they have created, the disinterestedness that they have created amongst the body of Muslims who are in the Anjuman, in the masjids, in the various masjids in the Anjuman. Yes, Haru.
I would like to make one suggestion, that people who are sitting here and belong to Jamaat, can they have a similar letter written, like one that Wahid wrote, similar letter written, instead of complaining about their
I would ask you all to consider what the brother is saying. You get a copy of the letter that he has written, and you do the same thing on behalf of your Jamaat. Tell your Imam, listen, we have to do something about the Anjuman. There has to be justice. There has to be fair play, right? But in similar vein, what those members of those Jamaats can do is organize a meeting and invite us to come and talk to the people. I beg your pardon? Yes, write the letter and invite us to come to your masjid and talk to the people.
All right. So, Jazakallah khair, Haji Sahib, for that interesting meeting here today. I want, on behalf of the members of the Reform Committee, to thank each and every one of you for joining us here live as well as virtually. We appreciate your effort and your concern. We will continue this going forward. The two suggestions made are for the Jamaat or members from different Jamaats to write letters similar to the one that I wrote to the General Secretary, offering our assistance to ensure that the work of the CRC gets off the ground, plus offering our assistance to ensure that we can work together for the betterment of the Muslim community, especially those of the Anjuman Sunnatul Jamaat Association. It is also our intention to assist that CRC once the opportunity presents itself. We will be making submissions to them. So therefore, if you know of anyone who is interested in making submissions of any specific nature with respect to the Constitution, you can contact us, myself or Haji Nizam, or any other member of the Reform Committee. We will consider your whatever you have written or whatever you suggest. We'll put it in a form that will be acceptable to the committee and pass that on for them to even consider. This is just the beginning, and we, after 9 months, still feel totally committed to this. It may seem that we are being, just as Haji says, what they expect us to be, lethargic going forward, but to the naysayers out there, we are strong in our belief that what we are doing is right, and we will continue once we have life in us to press forward to ensure that the Anjuman finds its rightful place in the community of Trinidad and Tobago. Jazakumullah khairan once again. So can I ask the Imam, Haji Kamaluddin Ghani, to give us a closing dua, please, inshallah. Haji Sahib.